So here we are, spawning in the upper right in the warm colors, of course, coming in from the lower bracket. So with a 1-map disadvantage, their names are Mixu playing Vanguard and Elazer playing Infernal. Of course, their opponents from the upper bracket. So they got that 1-map lead in the cool colors from Aftermath. It's TheoRy and Albino working together. So they said in the Discord, in a Discord I have with them going into the grand finals, that they have an unbeatable 2v2 strat. They have an unbeatable 2v2 strat. I don't know what it is, but for right now, that imp is gonna... man. It's gonna go down. They do kill the scout for it, but that is a lot of lost mining time. That is a significant amount of lost mining time that TheoRy lost after that, because he pulled every single imp to kill the scout. That's not great, and he lost the fiend anyways. So, you know, sure, they got away with it, and I don't think... What are we at? 9 and 12, 8 at... it's hard to tell. I don't think that anything was sniped on the other side, as far as I can tell. So, for now, Hexen's out of the map. Double Gaunt out on the map here, looking to go take the health camp just about as quickly as possible. Are we going to see anything get added into it? Okay, a Brute's going to get added. That's fine. You know, good enough. On the other side, Command Post going down for Mixu. In that last series, we saw them go very aggressive. Just play very aggressively on Evergreen on every map. It's just been, yeah, we're going to go one base, Hedgehog, Barracks maybe, but just a lot of stuff and just roll their opponent over. But Mixu and Elazer, of course, there is history here. They did play in the upper bracket finals. It was a banger series. It was very good. But I think there's enough of a history here where you say, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't get quite as crazy aggressive here. I'm actually, my opponents are very good. They clearly have practiced some 2v2 just a little bit. We'll see what's happening. So for now, Gaunt's on the map, of course. The Lasers got a decent amount of stuff, and we're going to have a Shroudstone on the map from TheoRy. Now, this is not really in an aggressive position. This is not near Mixu. This is not near Elazer. It does provide a teleport window, though. It will provide a Shroudstone to teleport Weavers on top of, if that's really what TheoRy is looking for. I don't know. Truly, I don't know. But Astex32 is saying, what I say, mixed teams are stronger than mono teams. I don't know. I haven't seen enough 2v2. My first guess would say yes and no. And that I think there are probably certain matchups where, say, playing double Infernal is probably very good. Playing double Infernal versus a Celestial and a Vanguard maybe, or something like that, or a double Celestial. I think double Infernal is good versus Celestial with the Weavers, so you like have as twice as many up early. Oh, it's fantastic. Nice catch there, by the way. Mixed in a Elazer. They get the small creep is nice. The small creeps are nice, but the big creeps are truly what matters. So nice job there forcing that out, and that does mean that Mixu and Elazer get themselves just a little bit more value on the map. But on the flip side, you know, again, I think, you know, so I think more importantly, going mixed, not going a doubled composition, means that you have a lot more flexibility, and you're more stable against a lot of stuff. I think that is I think that's a much fairer way to talk about it. So for now, reasonable pressure coming out of Elazer at this point. Plague Axes are done, and there are just a couple Lancers here as well, so we're going to see the skulls go in, but they're all going to get trapped in just a little bit. So this defense, this attack, I guess, is not going to work out very well. Now there's a Buzzsaw Cannon handled very well from Albino. Of course, there are multiple angles to attack into, but there are also multiple turrets to defend. So TheoRy, Albino working together here. We got one Buzzsaw turret on either side. Now, of course, imps cannot repair. That is, you know, so this position on the north side is arguably easier to defend. Certainly with no greater shrine, it is easier to attack. And again, certainly without a greater shrine, it is easier to attack. But the Lazer's only on one base, you know? He's getting some money. He's getting these oozes. And notice, by the way, who's killing the oozes? Who's getting these creeps? It's not Albino. Albino's on two bases. Albino's economy is fantastic. It's Elazer that's getting those, because Elazer has a delayed shrine. It's only going down right now, which means that you got to go get some other stuff. You got to make up for your economy elsewhere. So I do like what we're seeing out of Elazer and a Mixu, is how they're choosing to play this. Who's farming? Who's fighting? How that is really working out. But on the end of the day, This is a fully saturated 2 bases for Albino and for Mixu, and that's just not something that TheoRy or, well, I guess Mixu does, but that's not something that TheoRy really has access to. So for now, Overcharge is going to show up, and certainly with the effigy here, Albino needs to go target this down or run away. Fighting on Shroud like this is just not the solution, but the body block is there, and that's actually doing a very nice thing. On top of this, Medtech's healing the Gaunts. So yeah, these Lancers are just going to have to run away. They're getting fully surrounded now, maybe diving on top of the Gaunts, but the body blocks are so real. And TheoRy on the other side, though, he's got a bunch of brutes. That is a lot of brutes, maybe a couple Gaunts as well, but I don't like this either. I don't think this is good. This is just not great. I mean, maybe if you bring the Lancers in and you work that together, sure, fine. And that's a great infest as well. That's a fantastic Nightfall infestation. Unfortunately, TheoRy was not set up for this, or Albino was not set up for this. His Lancers were not quite primed to dive in, and man, you pair a Nightfall with a bunch of Lancers, amazing. Incredible. They're so slow they can't run. It's horrible. But now we're at the point where Mixu and Elazer really wanted to get to, I think. We're on tier 3. There's a high command done. Graven are on the map. There is a lot of power in this army all of a sudden. You have the Graven. That's a slow. That's an attack speed slow, but also a movement speed slow. It means that, say, Gaunts can get right on top of light units and take them down. It means Brutes can bring themselves to bear. It means Magmadons working together can make things happen. Now, of course, when we talk about that, that slow applies to both friends and enemies, so it's not quite as strong as you might otherwise think, as you might otherwise expect, I guess, is our sticky bomb is gonna land on some of these units, but hey, there's a healing zone. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be okay for the time being. Now the healing camps are back up, but now Gravens are known. So TheoRy, Albino, supplies are relatively even. Mixu and Elazer have just a little bit more, but it's not enough to where I'm comfortable saying, oh, it's really bad one way or the other. It's close enough. Where are we going from here? There's a Greater Shrine, no Twilight Spire that oh, there it is on the way. So Elder should be ready at some point. But as of right now, the big issue I see is that there are no Weavers. So nothing really to get on top of the sticky bombs. You got to split away from this dude. That's a problem. So third base dies. Really, once there are 4 Graven on top of it, there's nothing to keep that third base alive. The infiltrate is just way too strong. Not saying it's broken, but it's too strong in the situation. And with no Weavers, there's no detection. With no Weavers, there's no spellcast yoinkage. So that is also a problem that TheoRy doesn't really have an answer to. But look at these Lancers coming in from the side. If they can trap this army, but they're not going to. And it's just a thumbs up from the guys as they say, okay, this is not going to work out. Nightfall plus sticky bomb. Literally can't move. They're stuck in there. And this is a disaster for Mixu or for TheoRy and Albino right now. Yeah, eventually they're going to try to run away. And yeah, there's a Weaver here now. Maybe a couple more looking for the lashes. But already, I mean, just the fight was already horrible. The fight was already disastrous. And by the way, we got Sentinels as well, so you can lock these things down. I mean, look at this fight. Everything is slowed to a crawl. The AoE's insane. And there is just not a whole lot that you can do. By the way, haste spot done as well. So these Gaunts with Reaper's Rush, now they're much faster. Now, Graven are going to have to run away, and we don't have the problem. We don't have helicarriers. They don't have, or we have helicarriers, but there's no bombing run just yet. So that's a little bit dicey. You'd like to have a bombing run, but as it stands, that bombing run does nothing. As it stands, that bombing run doesn't really get a lot done. Even still, 2 helicarriers are nothing to take lightly. As now we're going to see Weavers teleport on the left side. You got to have the lashes, though. Getting on top. There we go. On top of these Graven, knocking them down. Mass repair is going to be good, but the barracks will fall. And again, the helicarriers get slowed down by the Nightfall infestation. We saw how good this was in the last game, how clutch it was. But the bombers aren't here just yet. And that is a significant problem. We don't have, well, we do have an Elder Shrine. And TheoRy does almost have the Animus for it, but he doesn't have, well, he's saving the money for it too. We saw how good that was, actually. The upper bracket finals, he is very close. 5 Therium, 30 Animus. Very close to getting the Dragon out. And if you could get the Dragon plus the Helicarriers, that is a comeback potential. That is an avenue to come back into this game. And by the way, Elazer's supply, not great. Not all that impressive, but again, the problem is the natural is dead, and that really is the problem is this game is the helicarriers. They're going to run forward. Again, they don't do a lot of damage. They don't really do a lot of damage in this setup. It is about the bombing run, but even still, they're going to find some stuff. TheoRy and Albino are going to work together What do we have out of Mixu? What has he developed? Because he has the Graven. Graven don't really, I mean, they do technically shoot up, but they don't really shoot up. In theory, 150 Animus, 1,000 Therium. He just has to get that Animus up. Dragon's going to pop up on the map very soon. And again, this ultimate composition of 4 helicarriers, say, and a dragon are... Yep, there we go. Dragon's on the field now. It has been made. It has been summoned. There is a flayed dragon on the field. So this is what we were talking about in that last series, or in that upper bracket finals. It was a similar setup where TheoRy and Albino were in kind of a rough spot, but they got this setup. They got this paired setup working together, and then life was just a lot harder. But I don't know that Mixu and Elazer are going to give them that composition. I don't know that they're going to give them that time, although bombing runs can be very good against all these hedgehogs because they're sieged and there's not a lot they can do. Now trying to get on top of things. Blade Dragon, Fetid Breath going down, but just a little Graven are going to get on top of the helicarriers though, and the splash damage not really there. Now there's a bubble, and Return to Hanger tries to keep these things alive. And yeah, Lockdown not going to do a lot. Okay, so, well, we're going to have to see this that Shroudstone's not going to get a lot done. But again, more importantly this time, there's a Flayed Dragon on the other side of the map. It's not just the 1 versus the 0, and there are so many gaunts as well. This does not look like it's going to work the way it did in that upper bracket finals. The bombing run's good, but the Fiend conversion is just not quite what it needs to be. Everything's dying on the other side. The Dragon's just better. Dragon is just better for Elazer at this point, and TheoRy, I don't know if he's lost his Dragon. No, he's still got it. But the big deal, there's a third base for Mixu. Yeah, Elazer's only got his third base on. Well, excuse me, that's his 4th. We're at 4 bases for Elazer. We are at 3 bases for Mixu. It's 3 and 2 for TheoRy and Albino, respectively. They are each player, the Infernal player and the Vanguard player, they're down to base each. So at this point, their ability to reinforce is struggling, to put it lightly. And you know, with these Graven on the map, you can just shut down the Shroudstone, and then it doesn't fight, and then it dies. And now, well, sticky bombs are going to go down on a bunch of the imps and blow them up. And again, it's a money problem right now. The dragons are great, but the lack of anti-air is really more of a problem. And yeah, this is we didn't see TheoRy. He does have the exploding imps. He does have flame on. That's very nice. But the other helicarrier problem is the bombing run is gonna be, it looks like, very decent. Very, very decent. But I don't think it matters. I still don't. Well, okay. Wait a minute here. Hedgehogs are going to go down. We're going to see the attempt to drop on top of the helicarriers, but it's not going to work out all that well. More bombing runs are going to find their targets, and the dragon is still here. More fiends are starting to get made. But again, the problem is there's really no anti-air. The shadow flyers, the lack thereof, are the problem. This dragon, I think, just dies to 1 shot because Infest is so strong against dragons. Right, that amount of damage. Now, well, hey, there's a reason helicarriers are not quite as good in the mirror. You can drop the bubble from the Sentinels, and bonus damage versus range gets deflected by 50%. Works out very nicely. So I think at this point, we can safely say the Aftermath guys, they're kind of dead. This is not going to work out. It was a very cool game that we saw from them. Really, it was. But this time, Elazer, Albino, or Elazer Mixu, they have worked together. They have found the solution, and there's just not enough anti-air. There's no dragon solution. Not really. Yeah, Shadow Flyers aren't going to make the contact that they need, and with the hedgehog micro on the right side, with everything on the left side, both bases are getting forced in. We talked about how sometimes 2v2 can look like 2 1v1s back to back, and sometimes it looks like a 2v2 players working together. At this point, this is 2 1v1s. A Vanguard killing Vanguard, Inferno playing Inferno, killing Infernals, but this was very much a setup where this was players working together to make things happen. So Albino and TheoRy, they're going to tap out. But kind of a cool game 1. So game 1 was very much TheoRy and Albino on the back for the majority of the game, trying to defend as well as they could, but didn't quite work out for them. This is the next level micro battle. It's Hexen Dog versus Hexen Dog. A lot more volatility, actually. And I think so I talked about in the upper bracket finals about how this felt pretty good. I think 2v2 feels maybe even in some ways better than 1v1 because of the, well, really, because of how if a bunch of things are broken, well, they're kind of all broken, so it works out. The other thing I think that's actually, the more I think about this a little bit more, is that because there's just more stuff, the time to kill is a little shorter. And I know Fresh Giant has talked about, I don't know when this happens, by the way. They just, in a Discord, I think it was, maybe it was a blog post, I forget. But I think they've said at some point they will be messing around with lower time to kill, maybe experimenting with that a little bit. I could be totally wrong, but I think I've seen something about that. So I think, you know, I think 2v2 is kind of just because there's more stuff, things die faster. And I think I like it a little bit more. You know, I do enjoy Stormgate quite a bit, but one of the pieces of feedback I gave at one point was just like, you know, I like this, but I think I would like it more if it was like, if time to kill was 20% faster, you know, 15% faster. It just feels slightly too long for most things to die. Now, of course, a helicarrier bombing run killing all my guns. Can we slow that down a little bit? That would be great, because that does feel very fast. But like in general, a lot of these fights are very, you know, 15% too slow. I don't know if that's the right number, but anyway. For now, though, Mixu and Elazer, what do they got cooking? Aggression is what they got cooking, by the way. No natural. Well, Mixu's got a natural because he wants to go to Graven as quickly as possible. And this is what they did last game. I think this is what we're going to see them again, where Mixu and Elazer's the one that's getting aggressive. And this is tried and true team game strategy, by the way, where you have one player playing a little bit more greedy. You have one player playing a little bit more aggressive. And together, it means, yeah, sure, the greedy player might build some units, sure. But more importantly, Elazer's setting tempo. He's sacrificing his economy for it. That's why, in part, he's farming a lot of these camps, because his economy is not great, right? He's only on one base. But what this does is this buys a lot of space for Mixu to get his 6-minute Graven on the map. And as we've seen, Graven are really strong if you get up to them. They're very, very good. So Plague Axes are done and not done. Elazer has them. TheoRy does not. And again, Plague Axes versus no Plague Axes, it's not even a question. It's not even a contest. Like the gaunts with Plague Axes are just so much better. So for right now, a bunch of stuff's going to show up here. We have TheoRy, not a lot of energy. Not a lot of animus on the field. I don't know exactly what he spent it on. Probably a Hellspawn Resurgence. I don't know if this was, I don't know if he tried to get some gaunts up and they just died or what it was, but not a lot of animus available, so not really going to be able to do that. And again, this aggression from Elazer's working out great. He's doing everything he could possibly want. He's keeping everything back home. He's killing off, trading relatively even. They expect pretty positively against his opponent. Yeah, there's a buzzsaw up, but he's trading pretty damn positively. That's fantastic for him. And that means this kind of greedier double expand build that is set up, right? We got double short, we got a second shrine, we got a second base. Well, it's not really working out all that well. It's not doing what it needs to do. And now, I mean, look at these Lancers, right? They're just sitting here. The imps are dying. Although, remember, you can overcharge imps. That's pretty funny. They've learned that. I think they learned that actually in this game. So that's going to keep some things alive. But look at what we got behind this. Machine Lab, Mech Bay, Central Command. We're going to turn into a High Command soon. I mean, TheoRy is dying. In fact, he's dead. And we're going to have Graven on the map in the next 60 seconds. Zendo-kun asking, yo, BeoMulf, I'm always live. Now, sometimes there's a delay, but I am always live. These games, however, were played on Sunday. So, I just had to go and I had to cast Supervive after the upper bracket finals. So I'm like, I'm going to go cast them now because I thought the upper bracket finals game 1 was really like some of the best Stormgate I've seen. So very excited about these 2v2 things. I'm trying to organize some stuff for Stormgate Sundays, but it hasn't really worked out just yet. I tried to convince Mana and Elazer to play like TheoRy and Parting, which would have been a kick-ass series, but Mana's not super interested in 2v2. So I wanted Team Liquid versus Team Aftermath, but didn't really work out. As it stands, by the way, TheoRy is mega dead. And Albino is not mega dead, but he is moderately dead. Moderately dead, and again, High Command. Halfway done. And Zendo-kun saying, yeah, seems if 2v2 is cool, then Mayhem has good... I'm kind of excited about the ideas they have for 2v2. Obviously, the devs are saying it's a lot of fun. Whether it actually is, I don't know, but I'm gonna get to start playtesting it soon, so I am very excited. I obviously won't be able to tell y'all whether it's fun at first because, well, and you know, NDAs are a thing, but yeah, I can talk about being in it, but I can't tell you what's happening, unfortunately. But I have a lot of hope. I think some of the ideas they've talked about are very interesting. I don't know if they're gonna be great, you know, but I think a lot of the ideas they've talked about are very, very cool, and I'm very excited to find out. And again, the devs are saying it's a lot of fun in its early alpha state, so sure. I choose to believe until proven otherwise. I choose to believe the devs when they say this is a lot of fun. So, and by the way, also I already have funding secured for this. It's a matter of timing. I will be running a 3v3, a Team Mayhem Stormgate Nexus. I don't know when that's going to be just yet, and I don't know the format. But if the game is good and kind of once it's publicly, or the format once the mode is publicly available, we will be running. I will be running a Stormgate Nexus Team Mayhem edition, and I'm very excited for that to happen. That'll probably be, I don't know, Q1, Q2. It'll be in this first 6 months of next year. Ideally, we'll see. For now, though, what do we got? We got this shrine that TheoRy had up, and then it died, and now it's dead again. Words cannot describe how dead TheoRy is. Albino supply is okay, but he is not where he needs to be, and this is a very dead Infernal player. I don't quite know why TheoRy's still in this game. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, we've seen good comebacks, but you cannot 1v2 a 2v2. It's just not a thing. So Nightfall goes down on everything in the main base. By the way, you can infest shrines and they go faster, but yeah, double Atlases, and that's the GG. So they're gonna tap out, and it is a 2-1 lead. Mixu and Elazer winning 2 in a row. So game number 3 of the series now here. Mixu and Elazer, they've won the first 2. Game 1 was pretty close. Just the pressure ramping up was just a little bit too much, a little bit too hard for TheoRy and Albino to really get what they wanted to get done. Of course, game number 2 was just aggression. TheoRy died. TheoRy just died, and it's very hard to play 2v1. I don't care who you are. I mean, you know, we've had what was I saying? Anyways, so like there's a reason that we have, you know, 3 diamonds versus a pro player and the diamond players win. You know, 2 players is questionable, but point is 2 diamond players in StarCraft 2 have a reasonable shot of beating a pro player 2-on-1 because of economic scaling more than anything else. So if these players, you know, TheoRy, Albino, Elazer, and Mixu, they all take games off each other all the time. Yeah, when it coming back 2v1 is nigh impossible when that type of setup. So again, nice try prolonging it maybe a little bit more than they needed to, but I imagine they were just sitting there in a Discord call saying, hey, how do we adapt? How do we decide to play game number 3? Because, you know, we came in here, we had the upper bracket, we had the upper bracket lead. That was great for us. And now we've lost 2 in a row. It has not been as smooth sailing as we would like it to be. So we're going to see, surprisingly enough, TheoRy goes for a quick expand and Albino a little bit slower. I really thought, I mean, we would see exactly what Mixu's going for right now, which is the overcharge Bob to clear the camps to go and take your natural very, very quickly. And that tends to be pretty solid. I don't quite know, actually, why you would not do that on the map. I don't know why you wouldn't. But for now, ooh. I guess with a Lancer on top of this, you can, I mean, Bruiser Camp is very, that's a lot of, these are not the easiest things to take. They kill quite a bit. But I guess with 2 players working together to build units, and of course, Elazer going for that the anti-greedy build once again, just a lot of stuff build once again. It's okay. Again, look at this. A lot of Fiends went down, right? We saw a Brute get turned into Fiends, and then a lot of Fiends went down. But you get the Therium camp, and that applies, I believe, to both players. I believe the active dies, so the active buff, the active money buff, for lack of a better term, goes to whoever killed the thing. But the passive, I believe, applies to both players equally. So you have access to that immediately. That's going to be very nice. But Elazer and Mixu running across the map once again. Do we have a central command? Are we going to tier 3 very quickly? I don't know. Don't see it. Yep, there we go. Central command on the way as we have aggression on the other side now. We're going to have the sentry post go down. A lot of Fiends here. Fiends surprisingly not all that great against a bunch of Gaunts for the most part. The splash damage, the bonus damage versus light is very, very strong. So we will have a couple of these Gaunts go down, but the Infest is here. Right, plague axes are done this is the exact same thing we've seen from Elazer every single time, but this time, because of the rush distance, because this is Boneyard, it's not working out quite as well. Although, as I say that, Hedgehog on the map, that's a little bit more. This is a little bit more committed, a little bit just, there's more oomph to the push than it otherwise normally would. But the Fiends, yeah, they're not gonna get the Gaunts. They're not gonna get the Gaunts. But this single Hedgehog, maybe there are two. These couple Hedgehogs, they've been made, sure, but there's a Machine Lab on the way, and we're going to get transonic rockets. That's great. But I do think we're going to get into Graven sooner rather than later. So attack on the right side didn't really work out. It was okay, but not perfect. That means we just attack elsewhere, but luckily there is such a thing as a Shroudstone manifested. So Albino's fine. TheoRy is fine. The hot team, the hot colors, they're on their 2 bases for now. Now they're gonna lose this Therium camp, but again, the setup here, they're scaling into the game a lot. Man, I would love to see that. The next level play is just to lash at 10%, just to lash the big creep, and just, it's like, oh, thank you for doing all the work, this is mine now, thank you, appreciate that. But you don't have vision, so understandable. Regardless, economy is much better in this setup. This is a much better position for Albino and TheoRy to find themselves in, assuming they can survive. Because again, there's still only 1 base for Elazer. Mixu has 2, sure. He's got a high command on the way, right? That's always gonna be very nice for him. But again, this is a big but. Elazer only has, he doesn't have a greater shrine. His natural is only just now going on the field. So from this setup, again, he's got a lot of stuff, but he doesn't have a lot of ability to reinforce. And with this attempt going in, this attack has to go very, very, very well. And by the way, you can teleport Weavers on top of friendly command posts. It just has to be a friendly town hall. Now, at one point, when I read the original patch notes about Weaver having the webway or whatever it's called, the teleport, I thought it meant you could go teleport onto enemy bases if you could see them, but that is not quite true. That would have been pretty fun, but no, that is not quite true. So Hedgehogs are going to move in, of course, Hedgehogs, and don't really do bonus damage to the Exos. Exos don't do bonus damage to Hedgehogs. It's kind of a wash. But the problem is these Exos against the Gaunts. The Gaunts do so much damage to both the Weavers and the Exos. But again, this is Elazer on 1 base. This army doesn't get really reset, does not get reinforced in the way that you would like, and now certainly their Plague Axe is done for TheoRy as well, so that is going to work into him fairly well. Applying Infest across everything, abducting, lashing the rest, and this seems like it will be a very solid defense for right now. Yes, sir, Gaunts are going to do what they can, and Hedgehogs have to run away, but this is the defense. And Albino and TheoRy behind this, yeah, you know, Mixu's got a great supply numbers. He does, sure. 3rd base done, right? He's got a... Well, there's a high command. I'm not sure what he's making out of the high command just yet. He's getting Vulcans. Is he getting the Vulcan upgrade? I don't know. But he does have the high command, right? He does have that. He does have the next level of things. But the problem is Elazer doesn't have anything. Elazer committed very heavily to this setup. He said, yeah, I'm going to go and I'm going to attack you. I'm going to set tempo and I'm going to I trust Mixu in the late game. It's fine. I think the Vanguard macroing in an unfettered manner is going to be great. Gonna be fine. But of course, that doesn't help you right now when it's 120 supply versus about 100. Hedgehogs are gonna do what they can, but it's not a lot of them. Now, of course, this is a long rush distance, so TheoRy and Albino, they don't want to fall victim. They do not want to fall victim to what happened in that last game, or to Mixu and Elazer in this game, right, where you run across the map and you think things are working, but it takes forever for your rally to show up, and by the time it shows up, you've lost everything anyways. So TheoRy's got his third base on the way. Albino's got his third base on the way. And man, I'd just like to take a second to point out that while I think this map layout is arguably just a better version of Boneyard. I like the creep camp positioning, the lack of, I think the having fewer creep camps just a little bit more. I kind of like the base layouts too. The north side, or the top, I guess, the vertical spawns, so orange and teal in this case, they have a much harder third base to take. A much harder third base to take than the red player does, right? That third base is much easier. Much easier. That may be a little bit imbalanced. I don't know, but for now, Graven are on the map. So we do have Mixu. He's playing kind of Graven mech here. Spooky mech, if we're going to go with a StarCraft 2 analog, I guess. But he's going to have the Graven. Certainly, he's got these hedgehogs. But also, I mean, Vulcans are on the field, right? He's adding more things into this. And this is a powerful army. I do think it's very interesting as, going to try to go and ambush things. I mean, you got to split these. I know it's not the easiest, but these sticky bombs do so much damage against light units, and they slow things down so much. That is a problem. Sonic, by the way, this fight's gonna try to happen now. Yeah, no, this is just not gonna work at all. Horrible fight for TheoRy again. Bonus damage versus light, very good. But Sonic, the match arena may be closed. I forget. I don't know. I'm not sure if the Infinite tournament has paid out just yet. So if you would like to donate to the cause, that is fantastic. There will, of course, be a Stormgate Sundays this Sunday. I know right now we're going to have Refresh versus Your Room, Weaver fans. Oh, no, sorry. Refresh versus Nina. Refresh versus Nina. I am working on getting a matchup for Your Room. Who's a very good up-and-coming Infernal player that I'm trying to find him a Vanguard. We'll see who I throw at him. Maybe I throw Mixu at him, actually, as I look at this. I don't know. He's not quite he's not quite a Mana or an Albino or something. He's very, very good, but he's not like the best player in the world. Or he's not like the best in the matchup. Now, though, we're going to see this base. Yep, Flaming Imps are going to kill one of them, and that's going to be very nice indeed. There you go. Last the second. Those Gravens are pretty dang expensive. Yeah, you know, they got a cost buff that worked out very nicely for them in the last patch, but they're still not cheap. So now we got a great big bio ball and a couple Graven versus a great big mech ball and a lot more Graven. Mixu's at 170 odd supply. Oh, that's not what you want. Oh, that was unfortunate. Dashes in and just gets immediately lashed. But, well, hey, that's a dead Weaver, and the entire army has to be here because this is the entire army of Elazer. A couple are going to get dashed in. More Weavers getting teleported on top of this. Flaming Imps doing some reasonable damage, trying to get on top of these Graven. More lashes on top of the Weavers as well. And Albino desperately trying to run his way over, but it seems like for the most part, this is actually such a good hold. All the Graven went down. The Flaming Imps blew up so many of them. They did such a good job. The rest of the Graven are going to start to arrive, and yeah, there's an evac as well, but I think this is an evac to evacuate. I don't think this is an evac that really wants to take this fight, but look at this. The army of Albino coming in from the bottom side, pinched in from the north. There is not going to be an easy escape here at this point. This is a problem that I'm going to struggle to find a solution. So for now, yes, there are lashes, but we're going to see the sticky bombs on the backside. Some of Mixu's own medicine. I've been getting tired of seeing him so effective with these Graven, and now, well, she was on the other foot. Weavers are starting to fall down. Graven are going to have to run. This base will fall. Weavers getting teleported on top. I don't know how many Elazer has, but it looks like the answer is only going to be 2 sticky bombs on top of everything and just totally pinched in. It's not where you want to find yourself, and now there's a dragon as well. Nowhere to go. So much damage versus the evacs, and these Graven are dead. Some of them are going to teleport out. And by the way, they're helicarriers as well. Albino, TheoRy, they have done what they needed to do. They got themselves up to tier 3. I think Albino lost a base. I don't think he got his 4th base going. That is a big counterattack from Elazer. So there is that. But remember, this isn't Elazer that's been in a rough spot this entire game. He is the one that sacrificed his early game so Mixu could dominate the game. And now that Mixu's not allowed to, that's not really happening. Life is pretty significant pain. So Dragon has to kite back a little bit. Now there is no Shroud. That's not incredible, but not a lot of Weavers. So I guess it's going to be fine now. Graven are going to try to teleport in, getting on top of things. And Exos, well, a bombing run. Oh, it's okay. It's pretty good. And again, because of the setup, because Albino and TheoRy are already so far ahead, the bombing run didn't have to be incredible. It just had to be good. It just had to get damage done. And that is absolutely what happened. So Mixu and Elazer, they fall. Albino TheoRy, they take a game. And that means that we get to go to the last game of this series, game number 4, tied up 2 apiece. So now here we are. It is game number 5. We had some awesome late games. One taken by TheoRy, one taken by Albino. One aggressive game that Mixu and Elazer just, they killed TheoRy. It was on Dust Devil, by the way. TheoRy went, and spawns are different, so it's not quite as bad maybe, but they just ran through the bottom side of the map, killed every single imp that TheoRy had, and well, life was pain. Misery. Fleeting misery, but still misery. So we're gonna have to see exactly how this thing's gonna work. Is for now, Mixu and Elazer, they're gonna try to do the thing that is very annoying, where they go and they work with a Hexen, they work with a Scout, and they snipe an imp, and well, not a lot you can do about it. But this time, TheoRy and Mixu, or TheoRy and Albino, excuse me, they're playing a little safer at home, so they're not gonna lose the imp. They have learned from their transgressions in the previous game. AskX32 saying, okay, so high level 2v2s are very exciting, but how much hope is there for us, the non-pros, the people that are not as good? Well, I would like to believe that your games can also be really fun. I think it's funny. I think actually, so StarCraft 2 2v2s, not great. They're okay, but they're not great. They're pretty heavily imbalanced. There's some compositions that are just way too strong, but I think between the creep camps and the top bar abilities and just kind of how a bunch of stuff works, I think that what we're looking at here is that everything is broken, but a lot of the compositions, because we have this like circle of suck or a circle of dominance, right, where Celestial better than Vanguard, better than Infernal, better than Celestial for the most part, that actually means that 2v2 can be pretty cool. Now, ideally, things get balanced and, you know, who knows. But I think that can work out very well. I think also having these top bar abilities and just kind of the synergies, I think that can be very cool. Again, we saw Weavers teleporting to command posts. We saw imps being overcharged. It's a bunch of cool stuff, right? Where it's like, okay, you know, would this generally work? I don't know. Or, you know, this is not something that StarCraft had, right? You just have your units, and it's like 2 1v1s, maybe people working together. And also the contextual ping menu is a lot better in Stormgate. The contextual ping menu is very good. Now, I don't play with it all that much because I just primarily ladder, but the contextual ping menu is pretty dang good here. It's going to be Gaunt's Plague Axes aren't quite done here, but it's 4 Lancers to 3. The Brutes have to run away, and this attack coming in from Mixu and Elazer just looks a little bit stronger, which is not what you want to be running into in game number 5. The Lancers are low, and that's a full surround from the Fiends. Lancers on top of them, shredding them. When, well, Albino has lost his entire army. Theoretically, Brutes versus this should be better than having a bunch of Gaunts, but when all of the Lancers are going down, doesn't really seem to matter because now the snowball begins. Now these Lancers are level 1, level 2 prestige. They have bonus HP, they have bonus damage, they have bonus armor, they're tankier. Every part of them is so much better now. Okay, so Shroudstone has to get manifested. That is going to be very nice. That's a very important thing. And again, behind this is a setup where TheoRy and Albino working together. They have their naturals done. The economy is much better again. I've been telling this story. The economy is much better again for Albino and TheoRy. They just have to survive the waves of Elazer, and they'll be fine. But that is easier said than done. This pressure has already gotten so much done. Albino has 20 supply. TheoRy has 32. Mixu has 40. Mixu doubling the supply of his Vanguard opponent. And that is just not where you want to be, because again, Mixu has his natural. He's got a central command on the way. Actually, excuse me, central command done. He's adding in Hedgehogs. He has that next round attack. And these 5 Lancers have not been touched. Now, if you can pin you can pin these Gaunts into a corner, that's going to be really solid. That's a very, very good thing. But, well, Lancers show up. They get a lot of kills. They kill imps. And this economy from TheoRy is not where it needs to be. So 42-31 versus 26 and 21. And there's no overcharge available anymore. Nothing like that. The Shroudstone has already been manifested. TheoRy just doesn't have the Animus, and I don't think he has the cooldown either. So this was just a wee bit of a disaster. Losing all your units early when you're trying to be greedy is not how you want to play the game. Not at all. So Lancers, eventually there's going to be an overcharge, and these Lancers may die, but that is a sacrifice that Mixu and Elazer are very willing to make. Because again, behind this, Elazer expanding the quickest he has in this entire series. And yeah, having Weavers out can be really good. All this stag defense is really nice, but oh god, that's oh no, oh my. I guess it's not quite as bad as I thought it was gonna be, but man, these and yeah, the imps were overcharged, but all those imps were so clumped. I'm just looking at this, I'm like, man, Lancers are almost, they're not quite Hellbats, but they're like they're almost like Hellbat or Firebat worthy in terms of how much damage they are. It's kind of insane. Now there's Vulcan on the field, and this Shroudstone is dead. So Vulcan's here, it's bubbled up. Nightfall's really going to be whiffed for the most part. There is, of course, a Weaver here. And by the way, remember, you cannot body block Weavers because they have, they can walk over everything. What's it called? They have, what do they call it? They don't call it anything. But they have Shroud walk over everything. They can walk through everything, and that can be very nice. But as it stands, the Vulcan did die. To be clear, the Vulcan did get lashed, and that is unfortunate. But this Shrine is dead. Albino, 19 supply, TheoRy, 25, and Mixu and Elazer. They're just going from strength to strength at this point. We got a Hanger Bay getting added in. Evacs are going to get added. There's Vulcans here now, and you know, Vulcans aren't the end all be all, but when you have a bunch of stuff that can dive on top of the Weaver, Vulcan can be very, very good. So the Biolab gets sold. Base is dead, and seems like this game is going to end not necessarily with a bang, but maybe something closer to a whimper, because there is not a lot that Albino and TheoRy can do. They're on one base each. Their tech is okay, I guess, but there's no central command. You're gonna have to rebuild the Biolab. Yeah, there we go. TheoRy and Albino, they're gonna tap out. That means that Mixu and Elazer, they win this inaugural 2v2 event that Infolet has put on. Shout out to Infolet for providing the prize pool, allowing this to happen. And if you want more Stormgate, quite often, go sub to the YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitch, because I'm live quite often. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll catch you next time.